This video is just going to briefly go over some basic ideas of a spreadsheet. And when you're working with a spreadsheet, there are a lot of different spreadsheet programs. All of them, though, have pretty much the same core basic functionality. And the idea with a spreadsheet is that you can put values in one cell and then manipulate them in other cells. So you can define other cells in terms of some information that the user would put in. It doesn't matter which spreadsheet program you're using for this very basic stuff. Most of them have all of the same features, but if you are going to be doing more advanced functions, then it does matter because some spreadsheets might have these functions and others might not, some programs. So I'm using LibreOffice, the spreadsheet that comes with LibreOffice, but Excel has got pretty much the same features. Google Docs spreadsheet has a lot of the same features. So these are all really interchangeable programs in that respect. Let's start by just putting some numbers in column A. So you can see I've got columns on the top, and they're labeled with letters, and I've got rows here labeled in numbers. And if you scroll, you can see that this spreadsheet just keeps going, right? So there's no defined end, although I think actually there is a defined end. It's quite a ways down. I'm not sure if it's 9999 or something, but so let's say that I just want to put some values in here. There are two ways to input data. You can just click on the cell and then start typing, or you can click on the cell and come up here into the input box and type things in there. So let's just say I wanted to put some numbers in. Okay. If I wanted to reference the value in one of these cells, I can just go to a different cell and then hit equals and either click on the cell itself or type in its name. So, oh, I'm over in H, so if I click on this, it'll be H2. And I could also have typed H2. And then if I hit enter, you can see that this cell, so this cell I2, has now been assigned the value that's in H2. So if I were to change the value in H2, it would be updating the value in I2. So this is nice because I can define a function. So I can say let I2, let the value of that be H2 times 3. So as I update, it will update the cell. Now, one thing that's really nice about spreadsheets is that once you define one cell one way, you can copy that definition. And so for instance here, if I copy this, so let me right click and go copy. Now I've copied that. If I paste that into these cells, so I3, I4, I5, the spreadsheet program will actually update the equation here because it's going to assume that I want this to take whatever's the cell immediately to the left of it and multiply it by 3. So if I just paste it in here, you can see that, right, the formula it pasted is not the formula I typed here. This was H2 times 3. This is the formula H3 times 3. So this is a really nice feature of spreadsheets, and in fact, right, you can select multiple cells and paste that in. Notice these, since there's nothing over here, it equals 0, but I could put values in there and they'll update. So the same thing works with, so that's where I was taking one value and dragging it across columns. I can do the same thing by defining, so let's say I defined this H11 to be H10 times -1. I can also drag across columns and it will update. So I need to put some more values in here. Now, one thing that immediately is really going to be helpful to us as we're going to be using this in the mathematics classroom is that we can actually stop the spreadsheet program from updating either columns or rows. So for instance, let's say that I had come back up here to I2 and I don't want it, as I drag it across here, I don't want it to change the fact that it's using the cell H2. I always want it to use H2 in this calculation. Well, what we do is we use the $sign because the $sign is marking, telling the spreadsheet program don't change this. So in this example, I can actually just put a $sign in front of the 2, and it's going to, let's see if I copy this now. right? What you're going to see is that now all of these, as I drag them down, they're all going to be H $2 times 3. So they're all the same value because they're all referencing this same cell. Now, if I were to take this formula and drag it across a column, so let's say I put this in column J, notice that the $2 stayed, but it updated, right? It updated the column. So in order to get it to stop changing columns so that I can drag the columns, then what I need to do is put a $sign in front of the column name as well. So now if I go to the right here and paste over, it's giving me a warning because I'm erasing things. Notice that it's still referencing that same cell that I wanted to reference. So what's nice about this is that you can have somebody input something, like let's say you wanted to have them input 2 points. So I'd have an x coordinate of the first point, and so I'll just do x and y, and then I have my other point x and y. So let's say we wanted a user to put in a couple of values here for my x and y. So maybe I want to call this x1. I'll be a little bit more descriptive. x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, I've got these numbers sort of in here in M1 and M2 and O1 and O2. And now I can come over here and let's say I wanted to find the slope of this. I could write slope, and then I'll set this cell equal to the change in y. So I'll have, I'm using parentheses, so y2 minus y1 over x2. I should use parentheses on that. So parenthesis x2 minus x1. Oops, there we go. Yeah, notice on LibreOffice, I think you can do this in most of them too, you can actually drag things around. So when I click on a formula, it will highlight the cells that make up the formula. So I double clicked on the cell, it's highlighting the cells, so I can drag things around. Now the thing about this equation right now is that if I were to drag this around, so let's say I wanted to paste this somewhere else. So I just copied and pasted it somewhere else. You can see that it now has a different value because it moved those cells. Now it's looking in these cells. So if I want this so that I can, if at some point I want to change this around, I need to put $signs in all of these. So it's very clear that I'm referencing these particular cells. Okay, and now if I were to copy and paste this, it's going to retain that value because it's referencing those cells particularly. Now this is going to be useful in making a spreadsheet. That one of the things we're going to be doing is making a spreadsheet where a user can input points and then it gives out the equation of a line. Another feature that is really useful to us is an if statement, and I'll do another video on that. I should also mention just briefly on some of the built-in functions that are in these spreadsheets. Most of them have a little function explorer where you can see all the different functions. There's also usually a built-in sort of function interpreter. So if you hit, so I'm just going to go here and hit equals and hit S, and it's trying to guess which function I want. And so let's say I want to actually do the sum function. So that's just sum, and then notice it says number 1 through number something. What you need to do is you need to give it a range of points, and there are two ways you can input the range. You can actually just click and select the range, or you could define it. The way you define it is to have the first cell colon the last cell. Now again, this is going to change. This is going to update as I move along because it's changing the definition. It's updating the definition as I drag it. So if you want that to be something that you can move around without having to worry about it changing, you need to put dollar signs in. Alright, so those are some very basic functions of the spreadsheet that should help you in designing your spreadsheet that will someone can input points and it will give out the equation of a line.